Hey there, lads and lasses. This here, of course, is Thunderhand64 coming at you live from the west coast of the United States. Here on a Sunday, it is a little bit past 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that would normally mean that it would be time for Kachi time. However, Kachi is still in Taiwan. In fact, he's returned to Taiwan from a recent side quest out to Japan. So he's back to Taiwan now. And he will then return to the U.S. On July 4th. And then after that, we'll see if he has any streams for Sunday after that. And when he comes back. So today I figured I'm going to stream some Baby Zombie Rush. But the first half of the stream, actually, I'm going to go into one of my test worlds. And I'm going to play around with a little bit of redstone. And I'm going to mess around with T flip-flop circuits, monostable circuits, and the type of monostable circuit that I use the most, which is probably the pulse limiter. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. I'm thinking for maybe the first hour of the stream, and then the second hour of the stream, I'll load up Baby Zombie Rush and we'll do some work in there. So let's see. Before I go any further, for those of you celebrating Father's Day today, for those dads, Slancha, happy Father's Day. My older son, Biggie, has left Taiwan now, and he's probably landing in Seattle right now, as a matter of fact. So he's going to begin his first paid internship up there, which is going to be very, very cool for him. And then he'll return back to California towards the end of August, I think. He'll spend about 4 or 5 weeks with us here, and then he begins his senior year, his final year in his electrical engineering program up there in Seattle. So super exciting time for that young man. I'll tell you what. All right, let me see. Just make some adjustments here. There we are. Okay, let's get into the display scene over here. There we go. It's looking good. Let's see, I think I have the test world still loaded. All right, multiplayer. Here we go. Oh, no, I don't actually, because I did Generations Survival the last time, not the test world. Okay. All right, I think I should go and change this over then. It's funny because we were, where am I? We were looking for the sherds and stuff so we can get our pottery, but that's not on today's stream. That's on a different stream. Okay, let's switch that around. Cam scene, I think, for this. And let's back out of the server. And let's just switch over. This shouldn't take me too long. Shouldn't being the keyword. Let's see. We're going to need shot by control panel. Where are we? There it is. Oh, okay. A little bit earlier. I guess Biggity's telling me he's going to be coming home a little earlier. July, I think he said 17 through the 27th. That's my son right there. Let me see. I've got a couple of things open at the same time here. Okay, I think I know how to do this. My whole setup just went absolutely haywire here. Give me a sec here. We can do that. And we can do that. There we go. Okay. All right, where was I? I was over here in shut button. All right, here. Shut down our server for a moment. And let's see, let me get the name of this. 03265. There we go. that. And we can do this. This. That is looking good. Let's go into creative right there. We'll save. Restart our server. And then we'll see what's going on. All right, I think it's trying to do its thing here. Multiplayer right there. See what we got. Okay, this is better. Test world, all kinds of redstone behind me. I'm a happy lad. Okay. Close up some of these tabs. All right, now the reason why I got on this was during the last Baby Zombie Rush stream, I noticed immediately after the stream that some of the circuits that I was building at that time, some of them were. What's up from the plane? So Biggity's plane is just about to land right now, but he's got the free Wi-Fi access on Starlux, so he gets to attend the stream whilst in the air. Hey there, son. Son, you should be circling to land right now, right? Or do you have what, an hour or maybe 30 minutes left? So what I was saying is there are some circuits that I built, and during the stream, I was referring to them as T flip-flops, and they're not exactly. Those circuits, the circuits that I use most commonly in Baby Zombie Rush are pulse limiters. They're a type of monostable circuit, and the reason I do use T flip-flops a lot, but I think I was calling them T flip-flops because sometimes I integrate them together, and I just refer to them as T flip-flops. They're not. There's a difference, and so I wanted to get that straight in my head because, you know, I, being a former educator, you know, I don't like to, you know, have content out there that's incorrect. So I set up these two areas here, these two demos here, to separate this out in my head and get an idea of what's going on. So the idea is, with a T flip-flop, if I have a lever, right, and I flick the lever, I can power something, and then I have to flick it off to power it again. So I get two actions to turn something on and off, right? It's very manual. And so it doesn't have an automatic reset. If I turn it on, it'll just stay on. If I run away through the rest of the Baby Zombie maze, it'll just stay on, right? That's good. That's good for a lot of things. But for Baby Zombie Rush, it's not particularly good because it doesn't automatically reset. So what we can do for that is we can use a button. Now, the button has a sort of opposite problem. The button turns on, sends a pulse, and then resets and turns it off. So it's not like you have to turn it on and then manually turn it off. I can turn it on and then run away, and it'll reset itself. But the problem is, it doesn't keep the power going. It shuts the power off. So we want, often for a lot of the features in Baby Zombie Rush, we want the player to be able to push a button, send out a redstone signal, but have the redstone signal remain on. So in other words, we want a button to act kind of like a lever. And that's what a T flip-flop does. So here's probably the simplest T flip-flop. You can use the copper bulb. Thank God for copper bulbs. because copper bulbs have made this so much smaller and more compact and easier. So you can see where we press the button, it automatically resets itself. Now, in our game, you wouldn't be able to see the copper bulb. It would send the signal behind another block, right? But we press the button activates and then resets itself, but you can see that the power state stays on, right? And then similarly, if we press it again, it shuts it off, right? But the cool thing about this is you press it, it activates, deactivates, so it's reset, and you get the steady signal. So you have a button that acts like a lever. These things are useful in a lot of redstone machines, right? But here's one application right here, right? This is probably one of the very first circuits I ever learned way back in like 1.13 in Minecraft, way back in 1.13. No, even before that, like 1.9 or so. I was thinking 2011 and stuff like that. 2011 when I first started playing. This is one of the first redstone circuits I learned how to build. Now, I wasn't using the copper bulb. I was using something different, but I was using a T flip-flop in this kind of way because what I would be doing is I would find these villages and I would fortify villages. And I would make farms and trading in there, but one of the main features was I would build a protective wall around the entire village. And the wall would always have a gate, and the gate would need to open and close behind the player, right? So T flip-flops are really good for that. So you can hit this and then hit this. So you have a button that acts like a lever, right? I worked up to this from other crude things where I would have like a lever. I could flip the lever on, it would open both the doors. I would go through and then flip the lever off and it would close both of the doors. But then I graduated up to the T flip-flop method. And I think I got this from like a very early Mumbo video. Really cool. So that's like one application of T flip-flops. Are we supposed to see something? Yeah, you are. So all of that, you didn't see any of that. There you go. Thunder! Welcome in, Villager. Welcome in, Eve. Hit you because we don't see the game. Oh yeah, I hear what you mean. All right, so let me fly through that very, very quickly again. So yeah, problem is we have a lever, but we want it to have like an automatic reset. So we want to supply power with flicking it on, but we want it to be able to flick itself off and keep the power. But with a lever, I mean, it keeps the power on, but it needs dual action, right? You have to flick it on, and then if it's Baby Zombie Rush, you go throughout the maze, you come back here, and it hasn't reset, right? So not what we want. So we can use a button. Now, if we press a button here, right, the button will activate and then reset itself with one action, which is good, but it doesn't keep the power on. Power on, power off. So we need a button that acts like a lever. So the idea is to use a T flip-flop. So here's a quick summary. So when we press the button now, the button goes on, activates, the button shuts off, but the power stays on. And so now in Baby Zombie Rush, like I pointed out, the copper bulb would be hidden, so you wouldn't be able to see it. But the idea is with the copper bulb, it makes the T flip-flops really easy. Really, really easy. And so application for the T flip-flop was right here with the double doors. Like this. So you can see when I hit the button activates and then deactivates, but the T flip-flop keeps the power going, so it holds the doors open, right? And then when I come through to the other side, if I hit the button, which is then hooked up to the same circuit, it negates the power and resets it. So, I mean, that's an application of T flip-flops. Now, the T flip-flop that I use before the copper bulbs was this kind of setup. I got to stop panning the camera so hard. This kind of a thing, where I press the button, and you can see the dispenser will send the powdered snow block out. The observer sees the change in state, and even though it has a double action, or no, it has a single action, but it forces the piston to fire, it drops off the redstone block and then keeps the power on. And then similarly, if I do this, then it retracts the powdered snow, pulls back the redstone block, and turns this off. So I think you can see how it works the same as that T flip-flop, right? Right, so if you're not a fan of the copper bulb, I don't know how you could not be. It's so compact and nice. You could always use this kind of method. Before, I used a bucket of water and I would contain this, but the powdered snow has the advantage of not spilling out all over the place, which is nice. It's redstone friendly. You almost make redstone look easy. Almost. Watch streak reached. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Let me reset a couple of things right here. Sorry. Let me get back into Stream Manager. There it is. Great. Okay, so that was the idea behind T flip-flops. Now, so the circuits I was using in Baby Zombie Rush that I use a lot are not T flip-flops. I was calling them T flip-flops, but I often combine these circuits with these kind of circuits over here. Hence the name mix-up. These are I keep saying impulse. These are pulse limiters. And what a pulse limiter does is often we'll need to send a redstone signal a long way. And the way to do that, the best way to do that, the fastest way to do that is with powered rails and an observer, right? So we can press a button. It'll momentarily light the powered rail. The observer will see that change state and it will send a signal out, right? The problem with this is when we activate the button, it will light the rail. It'll power the rail. So the observer sees it go from unpowered to powered, and it sees one change of state and sends out a pulse. But then it unpowers. It goes from powered to unpowered back. It returns. And so there's two changes of state. And so the way the observer works is, when it sees a change of state, it sends out a pulse. So it sends out a double pulse. So you can watch it do this. Single action, but double pulse. Did you see it light twice? That's a major pain in the butt. So what we need is a pulse limiter. We need to limit these two pulses down to one pulse. So we can do that with a copper bulb. So you can see you only get an on-off, or I should say an off-on, off-on. You only get off-on. So this is a pulse limiter. Now, I often combine these pulse limiters with the T flip-flops. And so I just got into the habit of just saying T flip-flop, but this is not a T flip-flop. It's kind of similar. This is a type of monostable circuit, right? So a monostable circuit is in the off condition. It has one stable output, right? This has one stable output, right? It's off, momentarily on, but then it turns back off, right? So that's why they call it monostable circuit. So a pulse limiter is a type of monostable circuit, right? So the applications I use these for in Baby Zombie Rush are things like this. When I need to power something, 2 pulses just into one. You can use the copper bulb, but there are different ways that you can use it. You can use a piston with a redstone block, right? But this has a problem to it. It works fine in a horizontal direction, or if you're moving the block down and then up. But if you try to push it up, yeah, it breaks. This is a rather annoying redstone mechanic because the redstone here through the piston uses quasi-connectivity and actually powers the piston below it and keeps it in this state, and now it's stuck. See, if it's horizontal, it's fine. But if it's vertical, it's so not fine. Broken. Doesn't work. All right. So there's, of course, a way around this. You might be thinking, well, we can just use an observer for that. But then we get the double pulse again, see? We get the change of state of the observer moving into that block. So we get one change of state off on, and then when it pulls it down, it leaves that block, so we get on off, and we get a double pulse. But you can combine this with this to get your single pulse. And so here's the situation. Flying Villager uses these sometimes like this, where you can solve this problem by just putting either a honey block or a slime block in between these. So this is one block higher and it can't power this air block space here. And so that's what you get here. See, no problem. Mayo 1T, as we say in the Dongwon. Mayo 1T. Has the same kind of effect. Unless it's facing down. Yeah. No. Yeah. Problem. So these have all like their little problems and stuff. So when you see me, struggling through Baby Zombie Rush and I'm trying to build something in there and I'm trying to like make something from scratch. One of the reasons why it takes so long is, yeah, all of these circuits have their like little idiosyncrasies. They have their little problems, and you have to remember all of those, right? Like I'll be thinking, oh, okay, well, I can just set this up like this, and then oh, wait, why isn't it working, right? And then I think, oh yeah, that's right, I can't push up with a redstone block. That's why. And so I have to remember those things. And sometimes it's a challenge. You're limited in space. You don't have a lot of room, and you got to sandwich this redstone circuit into a tiny little space. And it's like up is the only way to go. And then you have to remember, oh, well, I can just use an observer. But then, oh, darn, I'm getting 2 pulses. All right, so maybe in that case, you can use something like this. This is a little bit bigger, but you can kind of turn things around with this too, right? Like you can have the observer on the bottom of this, right? You might be able to do something like this. Let's make it a little bit higher up, like this. We can. Is that where I want it to be? Is the Pico in the bottom? Yeah, I want it to be actually the other way. Okay, we're good. We can do something like... Or... Just so we can see things activate, right? You don't need the redstone lamp. It's merely decorative. But you could um, do something like, I know I'm panning the camera around wildly here. Sorry, I've got to slow down so I don't give you all motion sickness. Sometimes you can just do that. And this should work. This should work. Right? Yeah, there it goes. Right? So it just, you can get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides of this copper bulb. You can feed it into any of those 5 sides and then have this reading the rail. The only thing you can't do is put the rail on the bottom of something and have it, but you could then just put the rail right on top of this maybe, right? So there's different ways that you can configure this, right, to try to save space and jam it in there, right? What I do is I think of something, think what I want to do, and then ask someone else. Females. You should see footage of a dungeon being built. The dungeon that you are working on right now? Or do you mean just in general, like people building dungeons so you can see the redstone? Because, I mean, that's what we're doing today. We're working on Baby Zombie Rush, but... Oh, as in the crazy panning. Okay, I get you now. Yeah. I have to remember that because as I'm doing the stream, I'm trying to rush through a process, and I'm like, yeah, and over here, and then there, and then this up here, and that, you just, oh my God, it's like, I look at the VOD afterwards, it's like, Thunder, please. Lol, I made Skip a nice statue in front of his space and wanted to make it shoot snowballs, but I messed up the redstone clock. He actually helped it. What, was it supposed to be a prank, and then you actually had to ask the pranked for help? Pranking himself. Eve, what? Were none of us around? Like Sage or myself would have been glad to help you with that. But these are the two main kinds of circuits that I use in Baby Zombie Rush. And most of your redstone machines will Jiren will be made of smaller circuits. Right? They have their simpler component circuits. And so these are two of them that get used in redstone machines a lot. No, this was before Bufooncraft. Oh, okay, I get you now. I can't say what the statue was, but I think you can guess. You told me about this, and I think it was in Bufooncraft Season 4. You told me about this. This was in the time me and Skip played on his server. Didn't know all of you yet, only knew Shut. If you watch me testing some of the dungeon stuff when the logic is in a separate room and you need to see things as they happen, yeah. The rapidity in which I can press a button, switch to spectator, spam up the scroll wheel, and make it into another room and barely catch what I need to see. I think Villager's trying to entice you to watch his stream, which is fine. I don't stream that. You totally should, man. Spoilers, Thunder, spoilers. Yeah, I know. I know because, there are events for Buffooncraft, right? But I mean, separately for different things. I don't know. You do redstone, like when you're building a cobblestone farm or something like that. You build that on Buffooncraft. You show that. I would if there weren't all the spoilers. Yeah, of course. Yeah, for the dungeon, right? Honestly, if I would make a contraption with redstone, I would end up accidentally blowing it up without the use of TNT. Eve finds a new way to blow things up. But, happy little accidents are usually the stuff of genius. I can't tell you how many times I've screwed something up and then later said, you know what? I can use that. Like with the trident chucking drowns in the trade hall. Yeah, I was collecting drowns for something else. I think it was for my ghast farm. And there was a village near a river biome. And so I was trying to snag... No, that's not what I was doing. What I was doing was I was trying to build a drown farm, and I was a specific kind of drown farm. And I was trying to use villagers to lure the spawned drowns horizontally into a bubble column that would shoot them up. So I was using a villager for that. And so I set the villager in place, and I thought I had him protected well enough. And so I set the villager all up and everything, got them all set in there, and then I'm turning around and working, and then all of a sudden I hear the shoom, shoom. I'm like, what the heck? And I turned around and he's a zombie. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did that happen? Because I didn't know that the trident chucking drowns could do that. I just thought that they killed them. And so I whacked that villager. I put another villager in, I put a fresh one in there, went back to, heard the same thing, turned around and saw just in time the trident hit him and convert him into a zombie. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck? So I can't, and then I thought to myself, oh, trade hall. I could use that in a trade hall, right? And the rest is history. Yeah, I can do a basic redstone, so it's fine. Yeah. Automatic chicken furnaces and small stuff like that, yeah. So I did have something else I wanted to try here today that I was thinking about. But I think I pretty much have it. I mean, the simplest kind of monostable circuit is the piston that pushes the observer. Like this. That is the, like if you go into Google or something and you type in Minecraft Java monostable circuit, and it tells you, it'll say, oh, monostable circuit is I don't know, what will it say here? Okay, it says a monostable circuit is a pulse generator or one-shot circuit. It is a machine that converts a long, sustained input into a single brief output pulse. So this technically isn't the monostable circuit because it gives two brief sustained pulses, right? So this, however, that's a monostable circuit, right? So this pulse limiter is a type of monostable circuit. And they will tell you, they'll show you, this is how you build it. But they really need to include that detail. If it's going to be like a rising edge, right? A rising edge monostable circuit. So there's different types, right? Rising edge, falling edge, and then dual, I think. So. Thunder, I have secrets unlocked that you'll be very intrigued by. when we do the next dungeon. I'm more than happy to walk you through how to use it after we run it. Oh, okay, cool. Howdy, 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 Thunder. How's it going today? And H2 no hydrate right there. Thank you very much. And let me see. Alrighty, this was all very educational, but it's 1:40. So all right. Sleep is overrated. I agreed. But Eve, you do what you need to do. So Ninja, it's good to see you again. How you been? How am I doing for time here? I'm at 4:40. You know what? I think before I do the change, I think I've done everything I wanted to do here. I basically wanted to show the two circuits and then different kinds of applications for each one of them. And some of the things that, especially for the monostable circuit, some of the things, the pulse limiters, some of the things that break on these, right? These kind of work in opposite ways. This takes a long pulse and turns it into a short pulse. This takes a short pulse and turns it into a long pulse. So it's kind of cool. I'm doing pretty good myself. I just finished up the final project for my accounting class. Oh, hey, bravo. Time to take a breather. So deaf need it. Okay. All right, Eve. Have a good night. Have a good one. Night, night. Nighty night. One on. You know what? I might try showing off the behind the scenes stuff on a stream post running a dungeon. That could be fun. That would be really cool, Villager. That would be really cool. I mean, I can't be the only guy doing this, you know? We need more of this kind of stuff, right? Where folks can see somebody just break it down to like some really, really the most basic kind of steps and kind of walk you through it a little bit and then show you just some applications and stuff. And then, you know, folks can ask questions and stuff, you know, that's, and, you know, I find not, you know, it's not so much a service for the viewers. I kind of hope it is. Not too many folks are interested in this, but at the very least, it helps me review the stuff so I get it straight in my head. It would be a lot of command blocks, but it'd be cool to show off and at least explain how it works. Yeah, it's fun. That's one of the reasons why I do the Baby Zombie Rush stream. You know, and I have command blocks in there, and I have folks like yourself stepping in there to help me out with that. Because, you know, as far as I'm aware, I really don't see that anywhere else, right? Or they're just super condescending about it. You know, they're just whipping through it. I guess if they save the VOD, you can go back and slow it down and pause it in certain parts. But, you know, they make you feel like an idiot for asking questions and stuff. Not everybody does, but, you know, sometimes they do. I still have a couple of more assignments left, but the big bad one is out of the way. Huge weight off the shoulders, right, Ninja? There's Lone Star Lone! Got myself a mighty Bellhaven going. How you doing, Lone? I mean, the whole point would be to answer questions as we go, if people care that much. Yeah. Or just to have it there for a reference later on, right? Like you're trying to solve some problem and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember in Villager's stream, he had this command block doing a similar thing, right? This, that, and you can go back and look at it. And that's one of the reasons why I have the Baby Zombie Rush stream. So if I forget something, I can go back and I can look at it and say, God, the guy who did this was a genius. Lone wouldn't care. Most of it would go right over his head. Most everything goes right over his head, right? Because he's only like, oh, shots fired. Lone, that was a cheap shot, dude. That would require some repercussions, I would say. You know what got me thinking about that was the picture of that that Dora had posted of her holding up her cat like this, and I was thinking, what did it swallow Lone Star, and she's trying to get it to cough him up like a hairball. If you were in person, I'd require you to dab me up for that. I've never understood the stigma around asking questions. Even if it's an obvious answer, not everyone would know it. That's why we ask questions. People can learn new stuff. Yeah, those are usually the people who jump on folks for asking questions like that. They're usually super insecure people, right? So you always get those. I mean, as a teacher, I taught plenty of math classes, and you always try to make it I'm not going to say safe space because that sounds like it sounds too foolish for me, but it's questions are always welcome, right? So well, funny is really the only acceptable reason for that, right? So but it's the insecurity shows up in gatekeeping too, right? Like they don't they want to humiliate you for asking questions, right? So you won't, so they can be the sole source of that, right? And they don't want to. It's more that gatekeeping kind of crap, right? I don't believe in gatekeeping. I believe this stuff's for everybody, and I make quite a bit of waves when I do that. You can imagine what kind of math teacher I was. I was not. I was very popular with the students, but and most of my fellow teachers I was, but administrators did not like me. Because I taught under the philosophy that mathematics is for everyone. And this kind of stream, Redstone, is for everyone. It's for everybody. Everybody should be able to have access to this kind of stuff. And, I'm not the best Redstoner in the world, but you know what? What I do have, I don't mind sharing. Let us do this. Makes navigating the fences a lot easier. Okay, I got the second part of that. Yeah, understood. Let me do this. Let's pull up the Baby Zombie Rush test world here while I'm on Camp Scene. And please, I'm going on Camp Scene. I have to remember to flip back to the display scene. Let's see if I can do this. Let's go over to here so we're all done with this stuff. I can get down to here. So I'm obviously on a different display right now. I need to switch out the maps. Then we can get into some baby zombie stuff. Show my control panel right there. We go. Not yet. Not yet. Is it too soon? Yes, it's too soon. All right. Let's go over here. And let me see, I'll keep all of that there, and we'll do this. Good, got that, got that. Server is restarting. Okay, there we go. I was going to say, it's taking a little too long to do that. Let's pull this up. Uh-oh. Math is a pain in the butt, though. The lowest scoring class I took in college was Trig. Trig's one of my favorite classes to teach. Lowest scoring, that's because you weren't my student. If you were my student, much better. I'll switch over the screen in just a moment. Okay, we're good. Hey, I did this like I knew what I was doing. Hey there. Let's see. Okay, so we accomplished some things last stream. I am pleased to say. I think what we had gotten to was we had gotten this baby zombie replenisher. Oh, here they come. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I love this game. I love this game. Let me see. Bye-bye, you little brats. There you go. How dare you. So, yeah, we do have this baby zombie replenisher in, and we are working now on the last baby zombie replenisher, and the funniest and simultaneously most terrifying one of all. And that's the one that Flying Villagers suggested. So I think of this one as a little bit more of a collab, where the player comes down to here, takes their chance, presses the buttons, the blocks are deleted, and from behind this honeycomb pattern, out from these holes, pour hundreds of tiny baby zombies. And the player has to run for their life. And then it resets. These blocks are then replaced, and it's hidden once more, and the whole thing is set. This is going to be difficult to do. Thankfully, we worked out the command blocks and stuff for this already. Typing in all of the coordinates for this is going to be very, very hard. I've decided to make this a little bit smaller too. And the reason why I decided to make it smaller is because the player being here and pressing the button and then running ahead, you really don't, I mean, you can see the baby zombies coming out of the spaces from the sides, but you really don't get the trichophobia effect of seeing it from head on. And I think seeing it from head on is going to be better. And it'll also make the footprint smaller, because I think with like maybe that amount of space will be more than enough. I'm thinking this would be a better way to do this. Oh, Thunder, if you haven't started doing this, do yourself a favor and have reset buttons for everything. Oh yeah. Absolutely. You can see where I have a reset button. Well, most of the features reset themselves already, right? Because I want the player to be able to then come back around here, and it needs to be reset in such a way that hopefully the player doesn't remember what was here, right? And so it has that kind of reset feature. But also for testing purposes, like this will kill the baby zombies after we've tested it. Sometimes some of the individual circuit pieces of this will have reset buttons on it and things like that. So, yeah, totally with you. Totally with you. But the nature of the game means each one of these kinds of features needs a reset button. Some of them, though, will not have reset buttons. Like the central area, I should stop calling it the central area, the open area. This is a one-use kind of system. If the player happens to stumble into here and they activate it and use it and then they're out, this is now, this can't be used again for the rest of the game. It's done. Right. In fact, one of the features here, the Aqua Parkour, which I need to reset, the Aqua Parkour feature here, making this resettable made this way, way harder than it would have been if I just had it a one-use feature. So this was really hard to do because it has a resettable feature on it. Super, super hard to do. And it, the funny thing about a feature like that is it's a pretty simple functioning feature. The idea behind it is pretty simple. But this took a long time to build, this feature. Gotcha. I only started working with them during this most recent dungeon, and it's a life change. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Villager, when I started this way back in 2021, I think I went about maybe, I'm just going to guess, maybe 4 to 6 months before I realized, yeah, I need reset buttons for everything. I'm not going to say 6 months. That was probably a little too long. But in this case, the reset button is a feature of the game, right? And so it's kind of already built into the game. But I know what you're saying, though. Yeah, because there are other things I've built for Buffooncraft and stuff, some of those events, right, that had reset features on them, and they were absolutely critical. Yeah. I'm now trying to get to a point with this dungeon that someone can reset the dungeon with a button push and no admin assistance. Yeah, that's basically what this does, except it doesn't reset the entire maze. It just resets each feature, because the thing is, they're disguised and it's a maze and it all looks the same, so they can use it again. One of the ways I got around that, which might not be useful for the dungeon in Buffooncraft that you're building, is just making 3 copies. So I'll get this one all built and functioning, and then I'll just copy it in 2 other locations, because I want to give the player 3 chances, a maximum of 3 chances to run it. So they'll go through here and then say they die, which is highly likely, and they want to have another go at it. I'll just bring them over to here, and this is a copy, and it's all set to go. Everything's all in its reset position, its start position, all set to go. It's slightly different orientation, but other than that, it's completely the same. Then they'll go through this one, do everything that needs to be done on this one, and then if they die this one, again, very likely, they have their 3rd chance here, and this is a 3rd copy. That was my way around that, I think. I think it's a good solution for this. I forgot who came up with that with myself. It might have been Shut Mountain and I were talking about that, or it might have been Nebula. If it wasn't and it was somebody else, please forgive me, but that was the way I got around that. That way I don't have to then, somebody dies and then they want to run it again. Then I have to go either try to figure out some extremely complicated reset button that resets the entire maze, right? I can save time because I want this to be on stream. I can save time and just lead them right over to the copy, and then pow, we're off and running like that. So what I would like to accomplish today in the time remaining, I have 2 minutes before I have to take the break, but what we were thinking of doing here was removing these from the sides, closing this, and then having this directly across right here. I think that'll do it. If I get a reset button working for the whole dungeon, I could do that with one instance of the dungeon and just have a counter to tell the dungeon to reset everything so they have to start over from scratch. Yeah, like in other applications, that makes sense, right? And I'd be real interested in seeing how you do that. So like even, I don't think I'll do it for this because I think the copy method works out fine in this kind of way. But for other events on Buffooncraft, yeah. All right, let's do this. I'm going to see how much I can get away with here. And by that, I mean, I'm going to block this off with one wall section. That's one wall section thick. That's what I'm trying to say. And then I'm going to see if this is enough. It might not be. I mean, I did so over here, so it should be, but we'll see. So I did this kind of a thing where I think I did this. Yeah, and then the next row goes like that. Okay, and then this row goes like, yeah. So I'm thinking something like that. And let me see, we'll do a little bit of this kind of stuff here. And then we'll get rid of this. But we did want the black concrete behind this. But we have some new problems. This now creates another dead end. If I do this. It creates another dead end in an area that is going to have two other dead end features. Not ideal. Probably not for this dungeon I'm working on because of the gimmick, but it would work really well for smaller dungeons. Yeah, so, you know, usually when viewers, when the Buffoon builders, the members, are invited to participate in creating an event on the server. We do so in a modular kind of way. Like I'll do one feature, like one kind of room or one kind of setting or one kind of level. Maybe Nebula will do one, Shut will do another, maybe Cheska will do one, right? And then we put it together, we make one big event. That's what we did with one of the events. And so that sounds like it would be ideal for something like that. So I'm thinking something like this. Right? And then this would be all blocked off here like this. This also solves another problem. Then we'll texture this wall out. So the player comes down here, they press the button. These blocks here will then vanish, and out from here will just pour hundreds of baby zombies. So yeah, I think I'm at the point now where we can take an ad break, and let's get that done. So I'm going to run about 3 minutes of ads, and then I shall be right back. Hey there, and we're back. Okay, one thing I was thinking during the break here. This actually isn't a dead end feature. No, it is not. What this is this is the exit for the tunnel under the maze. And that being so, this does not need to be a dead end now. So if I put this feature here, I can just open this up through here and we're good. And so I'm going to go with that. Do I have any redstone here? I don't think that I do. I think I'm good. Let's take a look. Let's see what's in here. We should be good here. Oh, by the way, Lone Star, are you still there? Hopefully this doesn't expose any redstone. Yes, he is. So Kachi's over in Taiwan, and you know that Kachi's somehow turned out to be an Iron Maiden fan. I don't know how that possibly could have happened. But Kachi's only been playing guitar for a very short amount of time. He's and so he's been trying to teach himself Judas Priest songs, Iron Maiden songs, and stuff. And I'll lean in. I'll give him some pointers every now and then. But he messages me from Taiwan, and he's like completely dejected. And he says to me, Bubba, he says, I just can't do hammer-ons and pull-offs on the guitar. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, son, those are really easy. That's like one of the first, like, I'm not a guitar player, I'm a bass player, but like even I can do hammer-ons and pull-offs. I said, something's wrong there, because that's like one of the first things guitar players learn how to do when they're doing leads, right? But that's all he gave me to go on. And so I said, okay, well, here's some dudes that I watch, to pick up pointers on guitar playing. There's this guy, he talks about legato playing. There's that guy, here's some pointers. Then he, because it's Taiwan, there's a time difference. Then he messages me back and he goes, oh, okay, I see a little bit. He says, but I'm still not getting it. It's so hard to do, because this is what I'm trying to do. He's trying to learn Adrian Smith's and Dave Murray's solo parts for Number of the Beast. And he's frustrated with himself that he's a beginning guitar player and he can't nail on those lightning fast hammer-on licks. And I'm like, son, that is not beginner stuff. I say, brother, yeah, no kidding. I said, son, I hate to break it to you because I don't want to discourage you, but that's going to take a while for you to get down. That is going to take a while. You got to give yourself some time, son. You got to give yourself some time. I mean, think back in was that 1980 when Number of the Beast came out, or was it 81? I think it was 1980. I said, think of how much stage time, how much rehearsal time, how many other songs those two dudes learned before they played those solos on those tracks. I said, son, you haven't even done a fraction of that yet. So you got a long ways to go. I said, it's a good goal to set, but I mean, oh my God, you got to cut yourself some slack there, son. Yeah. And I was telling him, or learn pieces of it, right? And then learn this a little bit, learn that little bit, or make a song or an exercise or a little piece of music that has that in it, but it's a little slower or something, right? Or, it does like a hammer-on, pull-off hammer-on kind of thing, or something that's close to it, that's within reach, and then get that down and speed that up, and then work towards that. I said, that solo, holy mackerel, son, that's like Adrian Smith at the very top of his game. That's like his whole bag of tricks, son. It's like, well, yeah, but even, you got to admit though, for somebody who's just picked up now, Kachi isn't like an absolute beginner, because his viola is really hard to play. So he has a lot of transferable skills from that. And so, but I'm trying to tell him, son, you're not in a band. You're not playing on a stage every night. You don't have another guitar player working with you. You haven't already learned like all the Clapton, all the Hendrix, all of the Peter Green, all of the Jeff Beck stuff that Adrian Smith has learned. You've got a long ways to go, dude. Yeah, well, that's how everybody learns, right? I mean, you got to slow it down, and then, but the thing you can't do, or the thing that doesn't get the results as fast is slowing it down and then speeding it up little by little by little by little. That actually isn't that helpful for a lot of people. Slowing it down, playing it slower, working it out, and then working on it in bursts, right? Play it slow and then play it fast, and instead of that incrementally notching up. Yeah, because I mean, that works for some people, but for most people, it doesn't. I can allow that. That's fine. Now, my older brother is an incredible guitar player. Yeah, I've been in bands with him, and he's an amazing guitar player. And the best thing, probably his most impressive skill is his ear is so good. Among his other skills, but his ear is really good. And our father is was an absolute god as a musician. So it's like, but yeah, the both of us are definitely living in his shadow, right? But when I told him that about Kachi, he's like, "Oh my god, I don't even think I could play that now." he's uh, he's 2 years older than me. Yeah, yeah. Or even if you get parts of it, right? Yeah, that's enough to keep you going. But like one of the things he's lacking is um, hearing a similar thing in another song and then realizing that thing is also in that solo, but just maybe sped up or reversed. Or I was trying to tell him guitar players do that a lot. They'll learn like some Hendrix lick or some Mahogany Rush lick or something really cool, some EVH lick or something like that, and they learn that solo. And then when they go to write their own solos, they take pieces that, great composers, good composers borrow, great composers steal, right? They'll take those licks and then make a whole new solo out of that. And I said, you don't have that whole lifetime of learning all those other songs, that riff bank to draw from. That makes learning that stuff so much easier, right? So yeah. So I gave him a couple exercises, a couple licks, a couple of simpler songs to learn as like stepping stones. I tell him, yeah, son, you need to take stepping stones up to that level. He feels a little better about it now, but he sets very high standards for himself. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, son, please, please. All right, so let me see. If I have a block in front of that, they'll be able to spawn here, and it's one block back. So I'm good. I'm good. All right, let me just do a little bit of texturing here. We have what? And I can play parts of those solos, but I'm a bass player. I've got smashers on the end of my hands, so it's like those the tiny little frets and stuff. I play more guitar now because I'm writing more, and so just for writing. So I play guitar well enough just to write songs, but the frets are so close together and the strings are so small and it's so fragile. It's like a glorified banjo to me. I'm always afraid I'm going to break it. So guitar is really hard for me to play. I can do it, but no, I'd rather have my bass any day. Canon Rock D. The other thing is the Fender, which has wider string spacing and is a 25 and a is it 25 and a quarter scale on it, so the frets are a little bit further apart. Is a little easier for me to play. Right now we're using the Eagle that my brother shipped out to us. So BC Rich Eagle that my father used to play and that my brother used to play, and the BC Rich bass, that Eagle bass that I play. These two have spent a lot of time in the studio and on the stage together with my father and my brother and myself. But this is the one that we're playing now. But the neck dimensions of this are more like these are more like a Les Paul. So the scale is shorter and the string spacing is a little bit closer together on these. So this is a little bit harder to play. Also, the frets are super worn on this one. So this is going into GWM Guitars on Monday to get the frets redone on it. So not only are the frets worn on that, but since the frets are worn, I had to set the action extra high on it. So when I get it back from GWM in the frets, we have new frets on it. Then we can lower the action down on it a lot, and it makes the hammer-ons and the pull-offs a lot easier. Yeah. It's funny. I don't recall how much my father spent for the BC Rich Eagle guitar, but I remember back in, I think it was probably 1985 or 1986 when I bought the BC Rich Eagle bass. Yeah, I picked that up for $425, and I think it's worth about $5,000 now. I think it's worth about $5,000, maybe a little less because I have the EMG pickups in it. But I made sure any mods I made on it were reversible, and I have all the original hardware, so I could probably get about $5,000 for it right now. And that Eagle guitar is probably about the same. Investments, people, investments. It's funny though, those vintage instruments back in the day, they were just like, yeah, like that BC Rich Eagle bass was like $425. I remember when I first saw that in there because I also think BC Rich back in those days, they were still like boutique kind of guitars. Their name was pretty established back then, though, at that time, but still they weren't as well known as Gibson or Fender. So I think that guitar shop didn't really know what they had there. And so when I saw that, I saw the price tag on it, I'm like, I didn't even haggle for that. I just dropped the cash, grabbed that thing, and ran. And that's when I was in my father's band. So when my father saw I got the Eagle bass, he happened to be in a guitar shop and he saw the Eagle guitar, and so he bought the Eagle guitar so we would have matching instruments. So that's cool. And then later on, he passed it on to my brother, and my brother kept it for a couple of years, and then later I was in a band with my brother for about 2.5 years. And so we would play those on stage together too. Well, I mean, as far as a musician goes, you know, it was a lot of fun. But, you know, it wasn't all like fun times with him, Villager. So... let me see. Okay, I think we have enough texturing in here like this. Let me see. I think something like that, and then over here we can do just some rando stuff like oh, we already have that down there, so we can just do a little texturing, and we can leave that stuff in there. I don't think anything's going in that spot. Even so, we'll just wipe it out later. Like that maybe, and then we could do some more lighting stuff like maybe right here. Fuck. Yeah, there we go. All right, and maybe we'll put one down here too, because incidental lighting is a it's a thing. Let me see. Yeah, we got that. Okay, this is good. And sometimes just to test the lighting, I'll do the... We get rid of the night vision. Which we don't have on anyway. Okay. All right, that means we've got plenty of lighting. We're good. All right, that we'll use the reset button on that. No, we'll take care of that in a moment. Okay, also, before I go building this out, I have to survey around this area. And I have to make sure that we're all set here. I think we are. Also, getting in here and getting out of here. So, let me see. They definitely have a way in. They definitely have a couple of ways out. So that's good. Okay, I like this. All right, I think we're good to go. All right, so it's here when the player presses this button and turns there. That's when this will open up and the baby zombies will come pouring out of here. So it's going to be a matter of getting a bunch of command blocks now. And now we're down to 3, 6, 9, 12 locations, which is still a lot, but not bad. And one of the things I was thinking of is, let me see. Maybe in these places here. Can I do that? Not quite like that. Slab. Slabbages! I might not do this. It depends. Let's see. All right, that won't be viewable from below, so I think we're good. I think I can do that. And then here. It just makes it look a little bigger than it is. And kind of keeps the pattern a little more consistent. See how it fits it? Now, the pattern is skewed off a little bit. That's fine. I don't care about that. I mean, I could do this one, but it's just going to move everything by one block down. It'll be fine. It's fine like this. Now, these will show on the top, but the players down here, I don't think they'll see that. I think it'll be fine. That means we can take that out of there now, because that's no longer a corner piece. This is now a corner piece, so that has to be replaced. And I think we're good. Okay, so I think everything should just go right under here, because it's just going to be pressing that button, activating the command blocks, and then turning it back off. So and the very cool thing about this is I think it's just command blocks. Now, Villager, let's figure out how we did this before. Because this, I thought, you know, I'm always wary about handing out compliments to an egomaniac like yourself. Nova tells me that I should never do that because you don't need that. But here I have to make an exception because this was particularly insightful. I was very impressed by this. Dangerous hobby. So, we were trying to get the baby zombie to spawn in here. And I think what we had to do was to aim. Let's take this one for example. We had to aim here and add the fraction to this to make it land over here. So let's see where we have the coordinates. So we're looking at, now some of these are forward and backwards and some of them are side to side. So let's take a look, F3 with our coordinates on. Let's look at targeted block, like let's look at this block for example. And we can say targeted block is, and let me see, which direction am I facing? I'm facing west. So if I'm doing this, this is the one I'm interested in, north to south, so that's the z-axis. And so we're looking at the 1766, the negative 1766 coordinate. And I think the idea was, yeah. Okay, so the idea was to put it in this, the integer value would be for this one, and then the partial value will be for the one next to it, I think. .75. So it's almost like it's this plus 3/4 of this lands it here. Yeah, and so what we did is we subtracted off 0.25 from this, right? But we needed to have this whole integer value plus this one minus 0.25. That's what we had to do. So it was this one plus 0.75 set him here, I believe. And let's check this just to make sure. And then this one was for forward and backward. We did the same kind of thing. So let's see where he lands. Okay, no, actually we weren't. Actually, it was, let me see. No, I was right. So it's this, and 3/4 of this to make him end up here. That's what it was. So I was right. It's this integer value. I was thinking this made him appear over here. It doesn't. It's here. But it reads this integer value first, and then it reads 3/4 of that one. So that's, I guess that's how you have to read the coordinate, right? So we could do something. Let's take this. Let's do the control middle scroll wheel like this. This should have the same effect. Oh, that's why. Well, I don't know. It's the same thing. Oh, it's weird. Moving the command block over changed it somehow. Wow, why would moving the command block change it? That's strange. Big D! Are you writing the link back to your apartment right now? Can I see the command again? Yeah. So First of all, let's do the test. Let's get the caps lock off. I did have this over here. That doesn't really matter. All right, let's do this. So that works, right? What I did now, here's the command. Let's roll it from the beginning. But we're summoning the zombie. Here are the coords. Here are the attributes. So is baby zombie, right? And then attributes right here, the ID, that makes him small, right? That's it. So this makes him appear here. All I did was just take this and I copied this. So copy. If we put this here, it should do the same thing. Nothing's different. It's the same. The coords are the same. But for some reason, it kills him. Overlay is in the way. Right. Yeah, that's right. We have to get rid of that. There it is. So this spawns him in just fine. We have our summon command, summoning a zombie to these coordinates. Make it a baby zombie. Make him small. Okay. Now what I did is I just copied this command block to here. So that means I get the same code. It's the same thing, but for some reason it kills him. It's different from here to here. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't matter where I put it. You're strongly powering the command block, so it's powering the kill command block. Yeah, this one is powering that, right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I need to control scroll mouse wheel. There we go. There it goes. It works. Because I then want to get rid of this one. And what I want to write in here is uh, 1765. These are like notes to self. Stop, hands, stop. There we go. And over here, there we go. That, because that will give me the idea. Yes. Benefits of, properly functioning cognition too. There is that. Like that. I think this will give me the right idea. So we should be good. So now I think all I have to do is copy these command blocks. I'm going to need 12 of these. And then just change the coordinates. Let me see, control. There we go. Let's do this. And we'll do something like this. How am I doing for time here? 5:41. With the caps lock. So I have new keyboards and I haven't disabled the caps locks yet. Let me see. X equals, and let me see, X equals, what do we have? 635, I think it was. 635.95. Let me see. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, and we said what? Negative 1765.75. There. All right, so I think between this and this, I think it'll help me out. I don't think I need this anymore. This is superfluous. Actually, let's do this one. And let's do this. Clean up aisle 6. All right, so I think that's going to help this out. So let's purge the inventory here. And let's get this and make sure that we copy this correctly. Controls, middle scroll wheel, copies the command block and the command in it. Only one way to get her done is get her done. We could take, no. Yes, take those off for right now. Cool. So we have 3 things let's plan out our components here. So when we press the button, the first thing that has to happen is we need to make these blocks vanish. The second thing that has to happen is we need to activate the baby zombie spawning baby zombie spawning command blocks, and then also activate a timer. And then when the timer runs out, we need a command block to replace the blocks again. So those are the three main things that have to get done in order for this to work the way we want it to work. One thing I also wanted to do, Villager, I think there was a parameter that we could add that made the baby zombies spawn in a certain direction, right? So they wouldn't spawn with their backs to us, right? That we could orientate them so they would spawn facing the player. I'm not really too worried about that, because if I'm down here and I spawn a baby zombie there, the moment I start to move, he's going to see me turn around and start running right at me. You can set a facing, yeah. Yeah, so I might wind up doing that, but I might not. I really think if I just press the button here, I'm in survival mode, I press the button here, that even if they aren't facing us, they'll spin around and they'll come flying out of there, because they do the same thing over here. Over here, they spawn facing this way, but they immediately turn around and come pouring out. But I am tempted to try it just for the coding, just to put it in there so we have the code. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll probably wind up putting that in there. We'll see. So a couple of things. Let's just stick this code block right there for right now. That should have the code in it. It does. Good. Also, we're going to test this repeatedly, and so we need a baby zombie cleanup block. So it's easier just to copy these from other sites. And that's the good thing about having a feature on the outer wall, is we have this alleyway that I've provided in here to place, in which we can place redstone. So always a cool thing. Hawk. Hawk. It's gotta be shift. There it is. And then button. Gotta be shift again. Wow, new keyboard has me completely wiped out here. There it is. Okay. So here we're going to do the same old activation thing that we always do. We're going to use a monostable circuit. So monostable circuit, the pulse limiter attached to the button here to send the signal downward. But think of the aura of having dozens of baby zombies staring down. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to put it in there, Villager. How am I doing for time here? I have 11 minutes of the stream. I have 11, not 11. 11 minutes of the stream. So let us at least put in the activation circuit here. Let's see. Yeah, this should be enough. We always start like this. And. do this. I think if I do this right, let me see, we had a copper bulb. We were trying to turn a double pulse into a single pulse. So we may need a T flip-flop first. And this is why, again, I was calling these T flip-flops, because I combined the T flip-flop with the pulse limiter for this. Let's see, smooth stone, and then sticky piston. No, hands, no, just stop it. There we go. We can get rid of this. I think we're good with these now. We can get ourselves some dust. Some dust. Need an observer. Now, I think the way I normally do this oh yeah, we might be able to make this a little more compact if I can remember what we did in our test world. Yeah, it might have to move over a little bit, but what I'm thinking is something like let me see, we need the observer to see something here, either a rail. We could probably put a rail here. We need the observer, and then okay, we can do it that way. Not rail. I can type rail. Just let me do it. So we can do something like this. Now, you could use redstone dust here too. That would be fine. Like this. Like this. Sometimes I like to put an extra button on the side just so I can test it while I'm working on it here, like this. Yay! And then we can do this. Like that. And now we should be able to put the piston right off of there. But that piston's a little too high. We're going to need that. Now, I'm wondering if we just put the redstone dust on top of this, I think it'll just break, right? And, you know, for this, the double action isn't really a big deal. Just as long as it drops the block off afterwards. We could use a copper bulb and make this single action if we wanted to, but it does what we needed to do, so. Okay. All right, let's momentarily do something like that, and something like this, and I'll replace this later. It's just so I can see the block. I know which block I'm targeting here from blue. We should be good. And then what I'll usually do here is I'll then place an observer like this. So this observer will see that block updating. And I think you've all seen me use this plenty of times on here. And we can do that just to make certain that we can see it light up. So if we're looking below, like this, right, we can do this. There, see? But you can see where we're going to need now the T flip-flop here, because we're going to get a double pulse out of this, which is going to be annoying, right? So we're going to need a T flip-flop right on the very bottom of this, right? There we go. Okay. And we should activate our night potion, which we usually do. I love being able to figure out my own farms. Yeah, you know, I have nothing against going on and you know, using a tutorial for somebody else's farm, but I got to admit, Villager, it's fun putting together my own farm, or you know, even if it isn't 100% mine, you know, making it mine, right? Using a bit of this farm I saw, or that idea for that farm there. That's always a cool thing, right? Like I think I've done all I want to do with iron farms for now. The iron farm I have on the season 6 server, I think, is the pinnacle of iron farms for me. I think that's the silliest I've ever wanted to go with that. So I think it's time to move on to another kind of farm now. And I think I've kind of done what I want to do on trade halls, but we have the skeleton now that shoots the arrows of weakness. I want to use that somehow. So that might be a season 7 thing. Well, we'll see. I've just sussed out how to make a functional moss farm. Oh, I think, what's his name? Sage just made one of those, I think. Sage made a tree farm, but I think he had a moss farm before that. Okay, I am ready to wrap up the stream, but there was something I wanted to do. Oh, yeah, I wanted this. It's kind of pointless now, I mean. We're at the end of the stream, but here we are. We're over here. And yeah, we got this. And then coming out of this is where we're going to need our T flip-flop, right? So you can see where I've built some here. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to configure this over here, but let's just install this, right? And then let me see. Let's try to line things up. I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. They don't need to be hard connected to the locations. So I guess we have this tunnel. Let's focus, as far as placement, let's focus on just keeping it out of the way. I think that's the best way to think about it. And making it accessible when we're building. And resetting and repairing and stuff, right? Okay, so we have something like this. And then something like that. So we should get a single pulse out of a double pulse now, if I've done this correctly. I probably haven't. Just a heads up, I probably haven't. And well, I can't put a button there, right? Sometimes I can put a button on top though, right? Temporarily. There we go. So T flip-flop to the rescue, right? So you can see why, this here is the pulse limiter part, right? The monostable circuit, the pulse limiter, and that's the T flip-flop down there. So you can see the application of using two of those. And I use those together like this a lot in Baby Zombie Rush. So you can see why I wanted to take some extra time and just sort those out and make sure I was 100% on those. So specifically one that won't break when it runs out of bone meal. Oh, okay. Yeah, they do that, don't they? Don't they? Because it's hard to make the bone meal keep up with those, right? So, okay. I think we're good here. We're off to a really good start with this. Um, we've altered the maze. We've um, decided to remove that dead end, make that a through feature. We've decided to put make it much smaller, put the honeycomb here, right? And we've installed the activation mechanism. Super, super cool. We've got our command block. We worked out how our command block works. So it'll just now be a matter of setting up 12 of those command blocks. But we're going to need these in certain stages. The first thing that's going to have to activate is the removal of these blocks. Now, we've already done something similar over here with the Aquapar core, because the very first thing it does is it sets up this barrier, and then it sets up stairs in front of the barrier, and then it removes all three of these. So we already have those command blocks. So it'll just be a matter of copying that over and altering it. That'll make that a lot easier. So that will be stage 1 of this. Then the redstone signal will move over to stage 2. It'll activate the baby zombies. They'll spawn and come pouring out. It will also activate a brief clock, which will probably be just a repeater clock. And then stage 3 will be respawning the blocks back into place. Right in there. Okay, with that, let us wrap up the stream. Today, I'm probably going to forego raiding out. Let's see. Well, Tone's running his belated birthday stream. We can't miss that. So let's raid on out to him, shall we? Good. All right. We have this. I can see shots already in there. Good. All right. Let's switch over to the cam scene. Do that. Close that out. All right. Wow. Calm down, Thunder. Let's do a raid. There, appearing in the chat, you can see our raid message. You can copy and paste that raid message into the chat if you would like to join us along on this raid. We're going to raid out to Waylander Tone. I guess it's his belated birthday stream. I'm thinking his birthday was probably yesterday. I'm not really sure. But we're going to find out, aren't we? So let's set up the raid itself. That's /raid. And then we have Waylander Tone. and it's underscore, capital Tone, like this. Yes, and now we have the raid counting down for honorary buffoon and good friend, fellow streamer Waylander Tone. Family-friendly viewers, be reminded that his stream is intended for mature audiences. I suppose there's some language and some shenanigans in there, but Tone's a really cool guy. We have a lot of shared community there, so chances are there's folks there that you know. Our next stream, just remember that we do this stream every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's usually Kachi's stream. It's usually a Kachi time stream. He's away right now traveling. He'll be back July 4th. I've been using the stream slot for Generations, and I will continue to do so until after July 4th. So our next stream will be on Wednesday. That'll be from noon to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That'll be Generations, so that'll be the Survival 5 world, Gen 5 survival world. The stream after that will be Buffooncraft SMP Season 6 on Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everybody, thanks for joining me today. It was super cool to have you guys here. Super cool to see Biggie again. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and we'll see you all again next time. Bye for now, everybody. Reading out to Waylander Tone right now.